Well, it's exactly 8 o'clock this 29th day of January 2015. A very good evening and thank you for joining us in the newsroom. My name is Joshua Poro. Let's take a look at the top stories in our newscast tonight. Accused Muslims demand torture break. Tumebas are not sacked, haters warn. Kir ill. Kutesa's wife speaks out. And the Green Police pastures. Welcome back. This is the newsroom. Now, suspects linked to the killing of Muslim leaders have demanded for a break from torture, which they allege was inflicted on them during their arrest. They want time off in the sick bay to recover. The 18 suspects, including their leader Sheikh Yunus Kamoga, made the request in a Nakawa court session presided over by Grade 1 Magistrate Timothy Lumunye when they appeared for mention of their case.
Suspects linked to the killings of Muslim leaders have demanded sick bay leave, citing torture during arrests. The 18 suspects, including their leader Sheikh Yunus Kamoga, reported the torture allegations before Nakawa Court in a session presided over by Grade 1 Magistrate Timothy Lumunye. The suspects had appeared for the mention of this case. Displaying scars before court, suspects alleged that a lot of pain was inflicted on them by police officers who beat them up during the time of their arrest. The allegations included property reportedly confiscated by police. The leader of the Tabliks in East Africa, Sheikh Yunus Kamoga, and 11 others are linked to the death of Sheikh Abdul Qadir Muaya and Sheikh Mustafa Bahiga. They are facing 5 counts of murder, attempted murder, terrorism, and crimes against humanity. The mention of the case was amidst thousands of Muslims who attended court session. State Prosecutor Doreen Erima told court that investigations are still ongoing and requested court to remand the suspect to Lizira prison. But Kayanje, the lawyer representing the suspects, requested the state to conduct expeditious investigations.
Normally, police takes advantage of a situation like this.
After the court sessions, there was drama staged outside as suspects, sympathizers, colleagues and friends attempted to reach suspects to exchange greetings. Chanting Allah Akbar, the Muslims drew attention of their leader Sheikh Yunus Kamoga, who asked them to calm down and pray to Allah for justice. State alleges that 18 suspects and others still at large between December 2014 and 5th January 2015 at Wavule Ward, Buyemba in Mayuge District and Bwebaja Matuga Kwakiso District intimidated the public or sections of the Muslim faith. They are also alleged to have been involved in the murder of Sheikh Abdul Qadir Muhaya and Sheikh Mustafa Bahiga and the attempted murder of Sheikh Haruna Jemba. The accused persons have been remanded up to the 12th of February 2015 when they will reappear for the mention of their case. This report was compiled by Annette Nakaibale for TNR.
Now, government has dismissed allegations that the Minister for the Presidency, Frank Tumebas, has been suspended as malicious and false intended. Now, in a statement issued by Minister for Security Wilson Muruli Mukasa, also temporarily holding the portfolio for the minister in charge of the presidency, and Kampala urged the public to ignore the reports. Government affirmed that Tumebas is on his annual leave in his constituency in Kamwenge District, Western Uganda, until the 2nd of February, and that he was officially cleared by the office of the Prime Minister. The media has been awash with reports that Frank Tumebas is on forced leave and is being investigated by the Security Ministry of a fraud. In the statement, government has also warned against what it called hate groups abusing the unregulated social media platforms, churning out extreme hate content against the person of the president, his family, and people working closely with him. It added that the long term of the law would deal with those increasingly abusing the freedom of speech. Now, moving on from that, police officers in Rubaga Division have been trained to actively participate in curbing sexual crimes that have become rampant in Kampala. The training equipped them with knowledge on existing laws and regulations on sexual exploitation and prevention of child trafficking. The one-day training, organized by Uganda Youth Development Link, took place at Intertropics Hotel in Nankulabye, a Kampala suburb. We have more.
Kampala, it's because Kampala is mainly the hub. This is where most of the businesses are. It's easy for a young person to come into Kampala and go to YSH, Mombasa, and start being a prostitute. It's easy for a young person to come to Rubaga Division in Chiai and start their businesses there.
Well, we apologize for the technical error. But the Civil Aviation Authority has planned 4 new international airports in its master plan based on revenue being generated mainly from tourism, while unveiling the over $400 million program to be carried out over a period of 20 years. Works and Transport Minister Abraham Biandala, together with officials from CAA, pointed out that since tourism has emerged as the key foreign exchange earner for Uganda, they are confident that the master plan can be funded locally.
Borrowing a leaf from Kenya and Rwanda, which have boosted their tourism sectors by investing more in their respective aviation sectors, Uganda is set to construct 4 international airports, besides expanding and modernizing Entebbe Airport as a measure to attract more visitors. It is in this light that initially the Civil Aviation Authority is expecting to benefit from the tourism sector earnings to implement its $400 million master plan in a period of 20 years. Uganda earned up to $1.5 billion last year from tourism.
And we have unique features here, which you can't find in other parts of the world. So we hope that tourism will be a bigger contributor on this.
Globally, 60% of the passengers for airlines is attributed from tourism. And it is also seen that it is correlating with the passengers that are coming in and out of Uganda.
According to the master plan, the 4 international airports are to be constructed in Pakuba, Arua, Gulu and Kasese. However, another airport is to be built in Kabale Hoima to cater for the oil industry. This infrastructure, according to CAA, is urgently needed to facilitate transportation of equipment for the construction of the oil refinery and the oil wells in the very near future, as Uganda prepares to produce oil.
The discovery of huge commercial oil deposits in the country was the other catalyst for the growth of the subsector. The benefits of the valuable resources need focused planning for civil aviation is to have its due share. To that effect, the master plan is the desired recipe for the industry's growth.
Our consultant we are getting for the Kabale Airport, one of the issues in terms of reference to propose different modes of funding. Is it going to be a PPP? Is it going to be private sector? Is it going to be government? All these are going to be brought out specifically for the Hoima, the Kabale Airport.
However, since oil may run out 25 years after production commences, the authority also anticipates that the aviation infrastructure will go a long way in enabling Uganda's agricultural produce to access international markets in a short time via air transport. It is for this reason that the master plan is part of the Vision 2040 aimed at transforming the country's economy.
On average, we are growing at about 7.5%. And what has happened is that today we find if we don't do it today, we are going to have constraints to the users of air transport. particularly Entebbe International Airport. So the master plan is coming in to address quite a number of these.
Meanwhile, Rwanda Air has commenced flights on the Entebbe-Nairobi route, a move that is expected to force Kenya Airways to review its fares, which have rendered these as the most expensive ticket in Africa. The Civil Aviation Authority. Report filed by Lubega Emmanuel for TNR.
Now, South Sudan's President Salva Kiir's sudden illness has interrupted heads of state summit in Addis Ababa, according to an international government on Development Authority, or IGAD, release. Now, Kiir arrived in Addis Ababa on Tuesday to attend the 24th ordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the African Union. He was also expected to attend the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, or IGAD Leaders Summit, to kick off today to discuss the ongoing conflict in South Sudan.
South Sudanese President Salva Kiir's sudden illness has interrupted heads of state summit in Addis Ababa, according to the South Sudan Tribune. Kiir arrived in Addis Ababa on Tuesday to attend the 24th ordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the African Union.
And peace to your country. Thank you very much.
He was also expected to attend the IGAD Leaders Summit due to kick off today to discuss the ongoing conflict in South Sudan. Kiir's sudden illness interrupted a meeting between him and the rebel leader Riek Machar, which was being hosted by Ethiopian Prime Minister and chairperson of IGAD. The direct talks were aimed at securing an agreement between the rival leaders on a series of contentious issues, particularly on the structure of the agreed interim government. The meeting was also being held to brief African leaders on the progress of the IGAD-led mediation process and to report on the outcome of consultation meetings between the government and the rebel factions held in Juba and Pagak during the recess. As a result, IGAD was forced to cancel the meeting between the two rival leaders. IGAD has also been forced to delay the regional leaders' meeting. IGAD officials told Sudan Tribune that if Kiir's condition does not improve by today, the leaders' summit may have to be postponed indefinitely. This paper also quotes Dr. Johannes saying one of the causes could be stress, excessive consumption of alcohol, dry climate, or heavy smoking. But the doctor cautions that the causes of Kiir's illness could not be properly determined without a thorough medical examination.
To campaign for the lifting of the deaths on Sudan.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the newsroom, and it is about this time that we go for a break, and we return with a gentleman called Mr. Samson Kasumba. What do you have for us today?
We're talking about the cost of having one of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question we are looking at here is, do you really need your car?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a German mech, so are you asking me whether I need my German?
Besides using it to hold in your fingers and trying to pull off glass,
okay,
what is the cost of having one of these?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, when we return, Samson Kasumba comes up with the full briefing.